So, the teenage period of your life is definitely one of the most confusing ones. It's the period where you have to go through a lot of new experiences, a time of self-discovery, and the time where you're exposed to a lot of new situations. And not every teenager knows how to deal with these situations at all. That's why many of them have self-esteem problems, traumas, and grow up having unresolved topics with their younger selves. It takes years for you to learn how to deal with every single thing that you go through, but maybe in that process, you can lose pieces of yourself, friends, and gain traumas that are going to affect you in your adulthood. But unfortunately, nobody has ever born with a manual for life, and not everybody has someone they could ask an advice for. So what I'm gonna say here is some hard truths, but also some things that I wish somebody had told me before, so I didn't have to go through so many of the things I went through, like traumas, bad experiences, and overall, something that didn't have to be so painful. So the first thing that nobody has told me and that I had to understand is that I can't make everyone happy. I started to see that people have different opinions and different perspectives about life at all. And the reason I'm saying this is because when you first start to enter your teenage life, you tend to want the approval of everyone around you. And when you finally go through experiences of somebody treating you bad or disapproving you in some way, you get a shock, like, why does this person not like me? Like, you are the problem. This is one of the first times where you go through self-judgment. This was one of the first times that I went through self-judgment. And it really took me some time to realize and just swallow it at all, that the way some people view you is not always your fault. In your head, if you think you're funny, for example, and somebody tells you otherwise, you're gonna take their words as your own and only truth. When in reality, it doesn't have to be that way. Some people can find you pretty and funny, just the same way that others can find you clingy and annoying. And none of these both perspectives are really 100% under your control. In fact, these people have their only reasons to think those things about you. And sometimes you didn't even do anything for them to think this way. It's more of an inside thing that you can't really control. It doesn't matter how hard you try to be cool or pretty, there's always going to be someone that's going to disapprove you. Because the truth is, you can't make everyone happy. And from this point of view, we're going for the next topic, that is, most people aren't and don't want to be your friends. Most people tend to mask up their intentions and make you think that they are your ally, which is not always true. Even though some people can really seem like they are, everybody masking up their own intentions pretty much all the time. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but most people are only approaching you because you have something that they want. Most people are willing to play with your feelings for their own sadistic pleasure. And most people are willing to use you to make you get attached and just leave afterwards. Everybody's thinking about their own selfish wishes pretty much all the time, especially teenagers. Most of them are very egocentric. I learned it in the hard way. And they think that the whole world spins around them, that everything is about them, and that others don't have their own feelings. The only thing that lowers this whole complex a bit is maturity. That gives you a sense that other people also have their own feelings and thoughts, which is something the majority of teenagers and young adults don't have yet. So I had to learn in the hard way to stop expecting everyone to understand me and to be my ally. Because most people are only your friends while you have something that benefits them. Since I'm already talking about maturity, let's go for this next subject, that is experiences comes with time. When we start to go through problems and hard times in our lives, we tend to have this behavior of demanding ourselves to be stronger or more mature or act more like an adult, because we tend to blame ourselves for the situation that is happening right now, for not being strong enough, for example. When you just have to understand that you cannot demand yourself to be able to deal with something that you have never dealt before, and that you shouldn't judge yourself for being sad or being confused from what's happening right now. This is your first time living. Maturity and toughness is something that comes with time and experience, not something that you can just summon from day to night. But if you really want to try to become a better person and more mature in some way, everybody has flaws, and you can always try to work on yours. Not everything can be fixed, but everything can be slightly healed or slightly improved. If it's a behavior or even a toxic aspect of your personality that you don't like, always remember that you can always work on yourself, even if it's a small change. And if you really think that you're never gonna mature up or grow as a person, you should remember this. Everything is teaching you something. After I've been through some situations in my life, through a certain period of time, I was really afraid of opening myself up to new experiences. In my head, due to the fact that I've been through bad experiences in the past, it meant that every single one would also be this way, which is not true. Sometimes you're privating yourself from a great friendship or a great relationship because you're closing yourself like a shelf for the rest of the world. You know, it doesn't mean that because you've been through bad experiences that every single one will also be this way. Be open-minded to new things, new experiences, and new environments. It's also what helps you mature up. And understand that, okay, awkward situations and bad situations can happen, the same way that good ones can also happen. One thing will not dry everything else for the same exact spot. If you've been through a toxic relationship and is afraid that all relationships are gonna be like this, remember that not everyone is the same. Same thing for toxic friendships. I had to learn that life is made of up and downs. And every single moment of your life is teaching you something. Maybe you don't know what it is. Maybe you're never gonna find out. But in the future, when you grow a little bit older, you're gonna look in the past and see what that thing taught you. You know, bad moments in your life cannot be avoided. That's why you should always try to take the most that you can out of it. And as a person who was in a really toxic friendship for a very long time, the whole time while that was happening, I kept asking myself, why is this happening to me? And nowadays, after all that, I see how much that taught me. Even though it was bad, I still ended up learning a lot of things from it, and you should do it too. As I'm already talking about relationships and friendships, let's go for the next topic that is something that a lot of teenagers take some time to understand. That life is about cycles. When you start to finally date for your first time, you really think that this is gonna last forever. You're gonna stay with this person for the rest of your life, married in, have 2 children, a big house, which sorry to tell you, but most of the times, it's all fantasy. Like the first breakup or the first time you lose a friend feels like the peak of shock of your entire life. Think that you never will find somebody like that and that you're gonna die alone or something. But calm down. You know, life is fully about cycles. If it's a friendship, a love, or even a group of friends. I had to learn that people would come and go into my life, and not everybody that came in was meant to stay. To be fairly honest, most people are not meant to stay in your life. Some will come and stay longer, and some will barely even come in. Some will come and change your life just to leave afterwards. And it hurts, I know, I've been through it. Don't stay too attached to this philosophy that everything has to last forever, or that it never has to end. Marriages that lasted decades ended. Why don't you think that your 3-month friendship couldn't? And yes, sometimes we will lose somebody that's very special to us. But if that person didn't stay, it's because they weren't really meant to. You know, there's a plenty of fish in the sea. I know it sounds kind of generic, but it's true. Don't close yourself to new experiences just because your last breakup was painful. Try to learn from it. Like, I really believe in that philosophy that everything that it's meant to happen will happen. If you lost that person, it's because it wasn't meant to be. Maybe the universe didn't want it, maybe your God didn't want it. Maybe that person didn't want you enough. Who knows? And you know, it's a really confusing period. A lot of questions comes up, a lot of social situations comes too, but it's also important to remember this one thing. People's actions and thoughts are not under your responsibility. Sometimes they have their own reasons to think this, and sometimes their reasons are not up to us. Don't be mad about things you can't control. Don't blame yourself for the things you can't control. Don't blame yourself for other people's actions. Be up to the things that you can control, like maybe some aspects of your life that you don't like, or even the people that you're choosing to be with. You know, because whoever you're choosing to walk with are going to have an influence in your life. You know, so don't go too hard on yourself. It's a universal experience. And also know that you are not alone. New hormones, new people into your life, it's confusing. And learn to let things go. Okay? So I hope you liked the video. Take care of yourself and see you next time.